You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
Thanks to Concordia University Wisconsin for supporting The Coffee Hour. Find out more about Concordia University Wisconsin at cuw.edu.
Live uncommon.
We are continuing our conversations in the Set Apart to Serve series. This is a great series that's been going on for over a year now.
Yeah.
We're into year 2 of this and learning about church work vocations, encouraging both students, youth to consider church work vocations, as well as those who might consider church work as a second career as well. Mm-hmm. Joining us today, Bill Schranz, Director of Education and Synodical Careers and Director of Colloquy at Concordia University Nebraska. He's also Lead Placement Director for the Concordia University System. Bill, welcome to the Coffee Hour.
Thank you very much, Andrew.
So, Bill, tell us about your background and that story that brings you into Lutheran education as an educator. Who supported you? Who encouraged you to consider serving as a church worker?
Yeah, I don't have a typical Lutheran background. I was actually baptized a Methodist. My parents were not within the church. It was a journey, I think, where my grandparents said, hey, we'd love to have him baptized. So I joined the family of faith as a Methodist. Grew up a Presbyterian, and through that journey, the Lord directed me to Concordia University. I graduated from a public high school, really never had the opportunity to be in a parochial school. So when my friend who was coming to Concordia said, hey, I'm coming to be a teacher, I kind of had an interest in that. I was directed there by my senior year in high school. I was also coaching soccer in Omaha, and one of my parents came up and said, Bill, you work with kids really well. I think you'd be a good teacher. So that kind of got me on the path. And Concordia University here in Nebraska, as I visited, I saw an opportunity to continue my soccer career, which really interested me. I saw an opportunity to get my teaching degree, but more importantly, I was in a time in my life where my faith was really growing, and I found an opportunity spiritually to really to check it out and to really grow that way. So the journey was not typical Lutheran teacher where you grow up in the LCMS and you go that route. It was that way. I also was able to find my wife here and also an educator. We began our ministry. Actually, I taught 1 year at Malcolm Public School, and then we both took calls to St. Louis area. And Ann began her ministry at Salem-Afton. I was at Lutheran High School South, taught for 19 years there and coached soccer until God called me to beautiful Seward, Nebraska, to be a head men's and women's soccer coach at the time. And then I moved into this position a few years later.
It's so interesting to know people's stories and the people that we know that are doing great work like you are in these positions that are Concordias may not always have the same path to get there. I think that's very encouraging for a lot of people to hear that there are many ways to get to the places where we see people now. So you say you don't have a typical story, but I think that's a wonderful thing for all of us to hear. Now, you work with placements now, Director of Education, Synodical Careers, Placement, all of these things. What does that actually mean in our synodical language? What does that mean for what you do every day with the students that you're in contact with?
Yeah. Sarah, thank you. The placement position, the role of placement director is really to facilitate placement. In my role, it is just not me. All the placement directors, every Concordia University and the seminary have placement directors. Their role is to right now facilitate placement. A time quite a while ago, it was to place candidates, and the seminaries still do that. But for our Concordia universities, we actually facilitate placement. What that looks like is candidates go through their programs. At the end of their final year, we facilitate placement for them, but it pretty much starts their professional semester. For teachers, that professional semester looks like doing their student teaching or their clinicals. And I meet with all of them. I believe other placement directors too, kind of introduce the process to them, get them going, looking at that. And then we meet individually with them and get to really hear their stories, what they're comfortable with, maybe some of those concerns they might have in placement and different circumstances that arise. Some, when we meet with them, want to take a different direction. They may go into mission work, or they may go into seminary. They may want to become pastors instead of teachers or DCEs. So work with them, kind of coach them through those things and just kind of work through that process. DCEs have a little different path. They work through a year-long internship, and then we look to place them. So placement directors work very closely with our districts. We work very closely with the calling entities. We work very closely with our students to coordinate that first placement for them into their positions.
There is a whole list of letters or alphabet of church worker classifications. And now we talked about teachers, you mentioned DCEs. Can you give us the rundown of all those various classifications or offices of church workers that you work with?
Right. Here at Concordia University Nebraska, I work with Lutheran teachers. I also work with the Director of Christian Education, the DCEs. I also work with Director of Parish Musics, and they're the DPMs. Those candidates all complete their 4-year coursework here. The other candidates I work with are Colloquy candidates, and they actually completed their teaching degree at a different university. They are employed by a Lutheran school, and they're looking to get into Synod by taking the coursework through the Colloquy program. Other universities have other programs, like there's DCO program, Director of Christian Outreach. There's Family Life Ministry, and Deaconess is at River Forest, Chicago.
Lots of opportunities to be in a church work vocation. And I know the formation for those in the details looks a little different. What does that formation look like for some of the programs that you work with at Concordia, Nebraska?
So students interested in coming to Concordia University in Nebraska, that many of them come undecided, but a number of them have already indicated they want to go into church work. So they begin their program by taking education courses, and in the general ed courses, there's Old Testament and there's New Testament course. And by the end of their freshman year, the beginning of their sophomore year, we'd like them to declare the program they want to go into. Some may go into the education program. Some may go into the DCE program. Some may want to be both teachers and DCEs. Some may want to be both. They go into the Director of Parish Music or our church work program, and they may want to do both church work and education. So the programs then direct students. They're pretty much directed through their 4 years. DCEs through their 5-year program here once they apply and they're approved for the program. And so once they're approved for the program, then they start taking the theological courses, especially those theological courses set up in their program that helps them in their future vocations.
So in their first year, more general education and theology classes that every student would need, and then more specific classes in the upper years or the later years of their program that are more specific to their program.
Right. We really try to be intentional with educators too. We want to get them in the classroom right away just to make sure that they're feeling comfortable in there. So they have a lot of opportunities to observe. They understand that teaching is hard work. And so at that point, if they feel that this isn't the best fit for them, then we'll help them in other areas.
You mentioned for Lutheran teachers earlier, clinicals and student teaching and internship for DCEs as well. Tell us about the importance of that professional experience and practical experience.
Yeah, at Concordia University, we have the opportunities for students to do 2 student teaching experiences. So their first one is close to Seward. We have the opportunity for them to teach in public schools, even if they are looking to get their Lutheran teaching degree, because it allows them a lot more diversity in this case. And we also have our parochial LCMS schools that are here. We also partner with Catholic schools to allow our public candidates and our other Christian candidates to be able to work within those schools. So the first year they're close by, we stay connected with them as they're developing through their teaching skills. And then their second student teaching experience, the second 8 weeks, they're able to go out into the United States, different schools right now looking to be able to host student teachers. So that's a great experience. I went up to Lutheran North in Michigan, Detroit area, and it was a great experience for me at that time. Our DCEs have a year-long internship. That internship is valuable to them. It's valuable to the congregation. They are, as an intern, they're doing many different things, and it allows them to see what their gifts are for ministry. It allows them to grow within the congregation. And many times these congregations, after their internship is up, are looking to ask them to designate or to take a call.
We are continuing our conversation in the Set Apart to Serve series. Our guest today, Bill Schranz, Director of Education, Synodical Careers, and Director of Colloquy at Concordia University Nebraska. He also serves as the Lead Placement Director for Concordia University System. We'll continue the conversation in just a moment. You're listening to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
At Concordia University, Wisconsin, we believe you were created for a reason, to use your God-given gifts to help others, to live a life of self-sacrifice in a me-first world, to live a life that's uncommon. Whether you're taking one of 50-plus online programs or learning with us in person on the shores of Lake Michigan, you'll be equipped to make an uncommon impact. Learn more at cuw.edu. Concordia University, Wisconsin. Live uncommon.
Welcome back to The Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Gulseth.
We are continuing our conversation in the Set Apart to Serve series. Our guest today, Bill Schranz from Concordia University Nebraska and the Concordia University System. Now, Bill, earlier you shared with us great insights as to the church work programs that you get to work with in assisting students, facilitating placement for students as well. Help us understand the need for church workers, especially for the new church workers coming out of the Concordia University System. What does that need look like?
Yeah, when I came on staff here in this role in 2004, I started to track the data of the needs of a synod, and at this point, and through that, we developed over the years a request form. So our districts and our calling entities know if you are seeking a candidate, DCE, director, any commission minister, they should fill out a candidate request form. So over the years, we have tracked the needs for candidates, and we also track the projected graduates that are going to graduate each year out of our university that would be eligible for a call. Interesting that one of the years I was here, I was working with 100 Lutheran educators looking to place them. You know, there were 400 educators, yet there were over 500 requests for candidates. This past 5 years, as we look at the needs, we've had averaging 460 requests for church workers, most of those for educators, but only graduating around 150 educators. So, you know, the need to fill our year this year, if we would have had 300 more educators, we would have come close to filling that need this year. So just God has created an opportunity for us to reach out in our communities in our schools. And unfortunately, we're trying to find the right niche to get those candidates in.
What is some of that data that you have over the last several years, the trends that have been going on with church workers?
Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. The trends with church workers has just been down, and it's started in 2008 or shortly thereafter. And I think we know there was an economy issue at that point. And after that, we had seen church work just consistently declining. We've kind of plateaued off around, where we have graduating between 140 and 150. And that's just not from Concordia University, Nebraska. That's all of our Concordia University System institutions to fill those commission minister positions. And the requests are, this year we're at 530 requests that have come in. And I know our calling entities understand somewhere in the realm here that, we'd be lucky to get a candidate. Maybe we won't even fill out the candidate request form in there. So they're filling their ministry positions with public school teachers or great Christian teachers to be able to meet their needs, to keep their mission going at their institutions. So
how does Set Apart to Serve play a part, or how is it a part of what you get to do and what Concordia University Nebraska does, what the Concordia University System is doing in terms of forming church workers? How is it shaping what you're doing?
Yeah, I think what Set Apart to Serve is doing right now, and we're Russ Sommerfeld, who is our church engagement, the assistant for president for church work engagement. He is more in contact, and our admission person, Olivia, is more in contact with Set Apart to Serve than I am. But they are doing a wonderful job just getting the word out. Concordia University, Nebraska is in the university systems known for a long time. Probably the best way to get students interested is to have our alumni share their success in their positions as teachers or DCEs. But this brings it to a national level so that through Set Apart to Serve, we're able to really be able to get the word out, to share some of those statistics, to share the stories of students who are going into ministry or are choosing to go into ministry, to share the stories of those people who are currently teaching and what effect they have and how God has used them to touch people's lives. So it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to the end of the 3 years, the 4 years, and that is the time that, our university should prayerfully see an increase for that to happen.
Have you had the opportunity to talk to young people, especially the young people on campus who maybe haven't declared what program they are thinking of doing, to really encourage them to consider these church work vocations and which one would fit their skills the best?
Yeah. At this point, Sarah, I generally work with those students who have indicated their desire to go in to church work. I do meet at times with students in classes and just kind of share the process. We go over that. The students here have just a great relationship with faculty. And yeah, my door is always open. At this point, I work mainly with those candidates who already are focused into church work.
So when you're talking with the students that are already on that path, do they tell you stories of how they made those decisions and the people that have encouraged them to lead them on their journey to be where they are then, when they've already declared and are already ready to go?
Yeah, that's a great question. And the time I get to spend with them individually, those are the times when I say, hey, so what brought you to Concordia? Why do you want to be a teacher? Why do you want to? Many times that relationship is one that had been built with a teacher or a director of Christian education or a pastor, a former organist, that those connections that we have the opportunities to share with students. You don't know how the seed is planted and it's going to grow. And it's neat to hear that story and how a teacher has touched their lives and encouraged them to go into the ministry.
You mentioned earlier that the stories of your alumni, graduates of the programs for church work at Concordia University, are valuable stories in helping potential prospective students in the future consider church work vocations as well. Do you have any stories from your alumni that really help us understand the experience of going through a church work program and being placed and called to serve in, whether it's Lutheran education or as a director of Christian education or director of parish music? Help us understand what their experience has been like and why the why it's so valuable to have a person like you in terms of assisting them with placement as well.
I think, as far as alumni, I hear more stories directly from our students here and their experience they have when they come here. Many of them have the opportunity to serve in soup kitchens, the opportunities to work individually with groups who have maybe different disabilities, many in the opportunities with art where they have an opportunity to lead a class with the students in the community. And so their growth here at the university and to help their development, to share the good news, is one I hear a lot of. Many of those students who I place, don't hear. I'd love to hear their stories more, but just the growth and maturity of students and the experience they've shared with me from coming to Concordia University Nebraska and their path on to their vision is super. I really appreciate that time.
What are you looking forward to with this Set Apart to Serve initiative, this push to really encourage young people to encourage church work and your own work with these students who are on these paths to become church workers? What is your hope? What are you looking forward to with all of these, I shouldn't call them kids, all of these young people going into ministry?
Great question. I'm looking forward to an increase. God is, through Set Apart to Serve, God is going to touch lives through our congregations, our calling entities, our schools. I'm hoping to see within 2-3 years, the numbers of church workers, the harvest of people we need to really increase so that I can continue to work with them and the Lord can work with me through placing them into their positions.
With just about a minute left, what can our listeners do to address the shortage that we might see of church workers? What can our listeners do to encourage students and second career folks to consider church work vocations?
Yeah, I think it's important for our listeners to know if they have a school, they've been blessed. They've been blessed by people who many years ago had a vision to share the Jesus Christ with their kids. And even though their kids may not be there, they're blessed with an opportunity to share Jesus Christ within their schools and within the community. People who come there. Right now, over 30% of the demographics of students coming into our Lutheran schools are unchurched. So there's a great opportunity, and the opportunity for people within their congregation to support those ministries through their service, through their gifts, just through their kind words to their teachers and their pastors and the leaders and administrators, the DCEs, the director of parish music, those people, just to encourage them and thank them for their opportunity to serve not only them, but the community, and most of all, to serve Jesus as they're able to use the gifts they have. So to continue prayer for our congregations and schools is huge, and their support.
Our guest today, Bill Schranz, Director of Education and Synodical Careers and Director of Colloquy at Concordia University Nebraska. He also serves as the Lead Placement Director for the Concordia University System. Bill, thanks so much for being our guest on the Set Apart to Serve series here on the Coffee Hour.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
You can learn more about Set Apart to Serve by visiting lcms.org/SAS. To the Coffee Hour, I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit KFUO.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.